So, I don't usually, alam ng mga kasama ko, especially Marites, I don't usually write my speech. Most of the time, my speeches come from my heart. But this time, I tried to prepare one because I'm so inspired about this. Because our life story in Family Prime Realty, I think it's not just us, for all of us. It has something to do with this sharing that I am going to share. Actually, I was inspired by this sharing from Pastor Miles Monroe. So, to everyone who might have known Pastor Miles Monroe, he's a very powerful speaker who's been influencing ministers or presidents. He has been a leadership speaker. And if you try to search him in YouTube, you will learn a lot, as I am also learning from him. So medyo may relationship doon sa, actually doon sa sharing ni Pastor, baka pareho kami ng pinapakinggan. Yeah, okay. So, I would like to share to you about the key principles of business and wealth basing on the Bible. Okay. I will read some and then expound some. Success is predictable, so is failure. Both of them are results of law. Either you know the law or you don't. Let's talk most of all about leadership. Every human being was born to be a leader. Do you believe that? Yes. Most of them will die, but most of them will die as followers. Why? That's because they have never been told how to become a leader, right? Did you ever know you have a potentiality to be a leader? Did you or not? But in fact, we are all potential leaders. I want to begin with this with a sheep. So earlier, na-share natin what's about the sheep. Sheep is the dumbest animal on earth. Why? Because they are the only animal on earth that do not have a leader. If you study a flock of sheep, you will never see a leader. There's no such thing as leading sheep. That's why sheep are dumb. They just follow what's in front of them. That is why they fall on cliffs or fall on rivers, fall into mountains. That's why they are the only animal God created that needs a shepherd. All other animals don't need a shepherd. Yung sheep lang po. Okay? Every other animal doesn't need a human sheep. Every other animal doesn't need a sheep, but sheep do. Sheep is dumb. If someone calls you sheep, that is not a compliment. Some of you wonder why God says you are like sheep. That is not a compliment. God says you are like sheep going astray. You are lost. You do not know where you're going, he says. You walk away from my laws and my principles. You are wandering like sheep. Except when I came as a shepherd to guide you back to where you fell from. Not to remain sheep, because sheep are always dumb and God doesn't want you to be dumb. Here's a statement I want you to think about. Listen well. An army of sheep led by lion will always defeat an army of lion if they are led by a sheep. Did you get it? Okay, ulitin ko. An army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lion if they are led by a sheep. What does this parable mean? It means that leadership determines everything. So, we're talking about leadership. Guys, if you remember, on our trainings, I always tell you to be a leader, right? It is very important nowadays to be a leader. That is why our compensation plan requires leadership. Okay? So, why is leadership important? It means that leadership determines everything. Leadership determines the quality of the follower. Leadership also determines the mentality of the followers. Leadership also determines the morality of the followers. Leadership determines the attitude of the followers. Leadership also determines the commitment of the followers. Leadership determines the destiny of the followers. You can only be as good as your leader if your leaders stop growing. You will stop growing too. If your leader stops expanding the organization, if organization stops expanding, you cannot live beyond your leader. You cannot learn more if your leader stops learning. That is why some of you laging sinasabi na you're learning from me because I do my homework. I always read. I always see to it that I grow every day. And I really encourage you also to do as I do, to learn every day. Growing is never stopping. Personally, in my own experience, I could have not attained where and what we are today if it is not because of learning. It's always in learning that you grow. You know, income follows after learning, after growing. So do not think yet about the numbers or about the price. You first think of your growth. And once you have grown, automatically the blessing will overflow. And mind you, the floodgate of heaven, sobrang daming blessing. You cannot even, your basin wouldn't be enough for you to, fetch. So when you go and fetch your blessing from the Lord, do not bring a cup. At least bring a bucket.
Good word.
Yeah. Okay, so medyo mahaba to, but I will just piliin ko lang yung mga, I think, mas Okay, let's talk about crisis because Family Prime Realty was born during the pandemic, during the crisis. Why I want to talk about crisis. The biggest crisis on earth is globalization. The world is filled with fear and people are afraid of the crisis. But the good news is, crisis creates creativity. Okay, and this is where business comes in. The business time to get business is during the crisis. Do you believe that? Who believes that? Crisis. Sino kumita during pandemic? Sino yung hindi natulog during pandemic kasi linangoy at tinakbo kahit may checkpoint?
Yes.
Walang pakialam kasi basta importante kumita. Tama? The same as with Family Prime Realty, this company was born during the pandemic. So you see, only when you open your eyes of what opportunity is ahead of us, not to just look at it as it is, but instead visualize, be creative. Like, for example, if they say, there's a seed on my palm. Well, Pastor talk about it, and I want to talk about it also because this is very important. A seed is a key, right? Okay. If I show you my hand and there's a seed on my palm and I ask you, what do you see? Moises.
A palm and a seed.
Okay. Tama naman. A palm and a seed. Okay. But an entrepreneur spirit would see a forest.
Amen.
Do you get me? Why a forest? It's an opportunity, right? Seed, fruit, tree, seed, fruit, tree. What happens? It becomes a forest. So you see, when you have this kind of personality, visualization, creativity, you create opportunities. You create blessings. And mind you, hindi lang ikaw yung nabe-bless. Sobrang daming taong nabe-bless because of that kind of leadership and visualization. So, anyone here ready to work and be a leader?
Yes.
Yes. Yan. So, okay, let me continue. So, sabi niya dito, crisis creates creativity and this is where business comes in. The best time to get to business is during crisis or otherwise, you don't think like a lion. So, why lion naman ngayon pinag-uusapan natin? What are the two kinds of animals that God defined Himself na parang he look at Himself to be this kind of animals? Any answer?
Lion and eagle.
Yes. Eagle and lion. Why is eagle and lion? Bakit hindi dog? Bakit hindi cow or carabao? Why? Because God knows that when He created the eagle and the lion, He created them with a leadership attitude. Ayan, attitude na naman tayo. Okay? So, sabi niya, crisis produces creativity. The kingdom of heaven is never in crisis. Imagine ha, the kingdom of heaven is never in crisis. Do you want that? Diba dito parang ang daming nagko-complain, ang daming nagsasabing ang hirap ng buhay. But in the kingdom of heaven, there is no crisis. It feeds in crisis. Actually, the kingdom of heaven feeds in crisis. Jesus worked on crisis to create miracles. Example, Moses. Moses' story would be boring, leader, without crisis, right? But his personality emerged because of what happened to his story. We would have never known Elijah or Job. Do you know what made Job famous? Anyone? Faith? Despite na nawala lahat? Everyone that he loves, everything that he owns. My story nga dyan eh, sabi nila nagpustahan daw si God and the Satan. Sabi daw ni Satan, God, pustahan tayo. Job will deny you. Sabi naman ni God, no, He will never deny me. Sabi niya, pustahan tayo. Take all, lahat ng protection mo sa Kanya, tanggalin mo. And then I will make you see that He will deny you. So sabi ni God, okay, I will remove all my protection to Job, except, you can do everything to him except do not kill him. Tama ba, Pastor? Hindi po ako pastora, but I did. Okay. So, what happened there is, di ba, what was the first strike? I don't remember the sequence, but namatay yung mga anak niya, and then nawala lahat, properties niya, and then he got sick, and the wife said, are you not gonna deny your God? Look at you. You're already sick. Walang-wala ka na. Hindi mo pa rin ba i-deny? Nakalimutan ka na niya, kinalikuran ka na niya. Ayaw na niya sa'yo, sabi ng wife. And then finally, the wife died too, right? What happened? Job never denied him. He was faithful and he believed in God. Finally, nanalo sa pustahan si God. Pero ano yung pustahan? Hindi daw sinabi. So then, God gave back everything. Double, triple, quadruple, whatever Job lost. Okay? So that's the story of Job. In Joshua and Daniel, what made Daniel famous? Lion din, di ba? So, Daniel became famous then because of crisis. No wonder, okay, if thou, you are not yet famous, maybe you don't have crisis in your life yet. So when you go home, guys, on your way home, find a crisis. Because crises are opportunities. Nagigets po natin? Yeah. Diba, ang sarap makinig ng sharing na ganyan because we have not known that we are potentially able. We are limitless. We are so blessed Sobrang daming blessing na hindi lang natin alam paano. Diba? So I encourage you guys, read, read, and read, and read. So, sobrang dami niyong matututunan. Okay. So, when you go home, look for crisis because that's an opportunity for business. Okay. Business is solving problem. Lagi kong sinasabi, pag may nasosolve kang problema, may pera. Correct? Yeah. So, remember this, business is problem solving. So, kung hindi mo na-solve yung problema, ibig sabihin walang pera. Example, someone else is looking for a property. At na-solve mo yung paghahanap na niya ng property. Ano yung susunod na mangyari? Commission. Yes, commission. Ayan. So, ganun po. Okay. So, this is funny, but I want to read it for pastors. You can never go to business if there is no problem existing. Every business solves problem, even pastors. Do not know that they are into business because you are also solving problems. People are going to hell. That's the problem that you have to solve. That is why you get tithes and offering. They are paying you to keep them out of hell. Totoo ba? Yeah. Somehow, but not necessarily. Okay? So, sabi niya dito, they come to that building for you to teach them how to stay out of the hell. That's a problem and you solve it. The more money they give, people change church. Why? Because you stop solving their problems. So even when you are at church, you have to keep growing. Every business has a problem being solved. Kingdom citizen, grow in times of crisis. Ayan. So, I think that's long enough. Mahaba pa. Next time, isi-share ulit natin. But I hope you guys learned a lot.